Welcome back to the Nitty Gritty of Real Estate podcast. Today we're talking about AI versus agents. Let's get into it. All right, thanks for joining us. We are here with the Jill Paddock, who is killing it this year. She's doing so great. And I'm sure you get this question all the time. So I got my value from one of the major places online. We won't name any names.
Right. One of those lovable, groups who think they know everything.
Online estimates,
There
let's
you go.
say, for your home. And then they say, we're just going to use this. What do you think?
That's when I take a deep breath and I come in with my market analysis where I can go into detail with them. I always start by saying, that's great, you've done some research, but then it's time to educate a seller a little bit on what exactly all of those online estimates mean and how they get their information.
Sure. And we find that all of these places are only looking at numbers, and it's because they're a bot.
Right.
They work off of an algorithm. They look at numbers alone. They don't look at individual houses. So we see a huge swing in the actual value of the home.
Absolutely.
Right? So that's kind of how the AI operates, and they get their numbers. Now, I still would think that there's a place for it in the marketplace, right?
Yeah, I'd say, if you're just kind of wanting to track, how much overall is it going up or down? Like, am I seeing a significant change or a small change? Sure, it can get you stuff like that. But like you said, it's an algorithm. So it goes in with a radius. It doesn't factor in the condition of the home, upgrades. It doesn't factor in views, pools, things like that. It's just this, like you said, it's a bot. They can't pay hundreds of people, to factor value for, all the homes in the neighborhood.
Sure.
They've got to go with an algorithm.
Sure. No, that's absolutely true. And now we see having eyeballs on the home being the most important thing. That's where the biggest difference I would venture lies. And now those valuations are based on human valuations because the house sold for this much, right? So this is what the market is willing to bear compared to, and then they'll do their calculations based on other homes that have sold. So the numbers are human-based that they're basing that off of. But if the home hasn't sold in more than 5 or 6 years, it's almost a worthless number at that point.
Right, yeah.
It's not accurate, right?
Hey everyone, we want to interrupt this episode to let you know that we are a Keller Williams Southern Arizona franchise.
We are also realtors practicing equal housing. Now let's get you back to the podcast.
You're exactly right. Especially in this market, we want to see what's happened in the past 3 months, not even the past 6 months necessarily. And you want to factor in those, super upgraded houses versus those, does this house not have those? And, keep in mind all of those online systems, they do have a motive behind giving you those numbers. They want to draw you in.
No way.
Yeah.
I don't believe that.
Not at all.
They have good intentions for all of us, right?
Absolutely, 100%. So there is a little intention behind those numbers they're providing you too. They want you to keep clicking. They want you to keep looking.
Yeah.
Whereas your agent wants to sit down with you and talk about the real market value, what's going on in that market, that local market. Are we seeing, can we list it for $10,000 more? Should we list it for $10,000 less to try to get there's a lot of factors that go into that. And
Sure.
That's where you need a person.
Sure. And so here's a good example. 2019 compared to 2020.
Absolutely.
It rose roughly 20% here in Arizona. That is a huge jump. Can the AI keep up with that? I don't know. But what we are physically seeing is the demand. I don't know if the AI, we see that just day to day anecdotally. I don't know if the AI necessarily sees that, right? They're only looking at the numbers. And as Tom Krieger says, garbage in, garbage out.
Absolutely. I mean, and like you said, they're looking at the numbers. They're not taking into account what is happening in the market. And we all know the worst thing you can do is overprice your house, because that first, week or so of marketing is so important, and you want the most eyes on it that can afford the home.
Yeah.
You do not want to be the overpriced house. And when I come into, and people are saying, "Oh, my online number was this," that's great. That's a starting point. But we need to see. We always talk about that fishing kind of picture there. You want to cast your line for where the most fish are. Chances are the most fish aren't where that little online number is coming from.
Sure. And I've been guilty of it, looking at my online number and going like, oh, cool, I could get this much. And I'm a licensed real estate agent, right? So like, I think it's setting maybe false expectations for the seller, and then we kind of have to dispel that during our consultations.
Yeah, and sometimes that can be a tough conversation to have, and it's my job to tell you like it is.
Yeah.
Even if you necessarily don't want to hear it, but I'll come back with the reasons for it, why it'll benefit you, to go with my line of thinking and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah. And now when you do your comparables, can you explain like kind of quickly your process behind that and how you bring that data to your seller?
Absolutely. So if we are in a planned community, a development with say 300 houses, I try to keep all of my comparables right within that same exact neighborhood, keeping it, within ideally 150, maybe 200 square feet, taking into account, is it 2-story, is it single-story, is it an interior lot, does it have a view? So I try to find, the closest comparables that I possibly can find, matching as many items of the house that we're looking at. If it is not within one of those like HOA communities, then the other thing, and this is I think where some of those online estimates totally miss the mark, there can be a dramatic difference. If you're talking about a main street running through a city, from one side of the street to the other, there can be a drastic difference.
Especially here in Tucson.
Especially here in Tucson, yes. Are you looking at a historic district, but you're trying to compare it to something that has not been designated a historic neighborhood? Huge difference.
Yeah.
AI doesn't know that. They just run a radius.
Yeah.
So that's where you've really got to look, again, especially on those more unique properties, and make sure you're grabbing the most important items in the home and finding those comparables.
Gotcha. Okay. So what advice do you give then to your clients on how to take AI valuations?
I always warn them that chances are it's high. Very good chance it's high.
Yeah.
But again, if you're just using it to watch, how much is the market jumping, like, okay. But when you start really thinking about, well, I want to do this upgrade, is that worth it? Don't take that AI number.
Yeah.
Contact your agent. We are more than happy. We do these all the time. Don't feel like it's an inconvenience. This is what we do. I want to make sure that you're investing your money correctly.
Yeah.
I don't want you to, make improvements that you aren't going to reap the rewards from later. And if you're, again, looking to sell, just keeping in mind that, and I have found some people now start realizing like, okay, it's a little high. But just be open-minded. Listen to what we have to say, why we chose the houses we did, and absolutely have a conversation. I have no problem having a conversation, and I can explain exactly where I came up with my number from.
Yeah, that's always a nice thing. You can't really talk to a robot,
right?
What that number means. So, so what we get out of this is that human eyeballs on your property is going to be the most accurate and concise way to value your home. And now we do have connections with over 5,000 agents within the U.S. who we can connect you to if you're not here in Arizona, and we can get you a actual real valuation on your home. And we do this complimentary. This is not a scam or anything like that. We want to provide you with value.
I think that's a great point, though, Joe. I mean, if somebody contacted me for, the market I have family in North Carolina, I wouldn't try to value their home there.
No.
I would send them to a trusted agent I have, because I am not an expert on their market. I would never try.
Yeah. Yeah. And MLS data tends to be the most accurate.
Absolutely.
Compared to other sites out there. Again, who we will not name. But thank you, Jill, for joining us on this podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you coming by, and please stay tuned for the next one. We have a lot of great podcasts coming up, and if you have any questions or topics that you would like us to cover, please feel free to reach out to us. All of our info is down in the show notes. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you for listening and watching the Nitty Gritty of Real Estate podcast here with the Tom J. Krieger team of Keller Williams, Southern Arizona. If you are interested in buying a home, selling a home, or even investing in real estate, we have 5,000 agents across the country that we can connect you to. If you need any free resources, feel free to check out our website at www.thetjkteam.com. We hope you have a great day.